Welcome to my basement, everybody. Happy Friday. I hope you're all doing great. A lot of cool things going on again today. It feels like the machinery is starting to move a little bit. It's like, okay, we've had a terrible year. We've had a lot of things to be upset about, but let's get going. We're gonna have an awesome 2021. That's what it's starting to feel like a little bit. We've got some huge news in the rundown to get to. And we're going to do that in just a second. But first, a couple of shout-outs here. Hi there is the first in the room, so the episode is dedicated to him. How's it going? Hi there. Goku is here. Nintendo Cade Gaming. Woohoo! Made it. This show is going to be so sick. Can't wait for Vic to talk about the new Mandalorian episode. Holy crap! We've got a lot of fun things to talk about today. We've got the first like in here from Mondo Blasto Zero. Thank you for that. Happy Friday, Engineers. Very nice, Paul Adamson. I like that. Drew Dolan is here. They cast a real actor. Finally, this movie is not just a bunch of rumors. Hopefully, laugh out loud. Let us get into that, shall we? Let us get going with our rundown. And today, the rundown is dedicated to Hi There. All right, so it's kind of official. It's broken. At least Oscar Isaac is in talks to star as Solid Snake or some variation of Snake in Metal Gear Solid, the film, directed by Jordan Vogt-Roberts. And I am getting very, very excited about this whole idea. I think Deadline was the first to break this news. Of course, Jordan Vogt-Roberts has been working on this for a long time. He's been talking about the scripts that he's been working on. He's been closely associated with Hideo Kojima, which is odd because obviously Konami and Hideo Kojima and Metal Gear Solid all kind of parted ways not too long ago, but Hideo created this franchise and he is going to be a part of whatever happens here. I think he's got to have final kind of approval on a lot of things, or at least there's got to be some kind of collaborative spirit, you know? And hopefully a lot of the elements and the themes that we've seen in the Metal Gear films are going to also be a part of the movie. Jordan Vogt-Roberts was talking about how, you know, he is into kind of this, not supernatural, but this kind of weird and quirky military kind of theme, or the kind of outlandish themes that Hideo Kojima always proposes in his Metal Gear adventures. So that's what he is in for. That's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to just make a straight action picture. He wants to kind of, twist our minds a little bit, and he's very acutely aware of it. I've been watching a lot of his Twitter shout-outs there to Metal Gear moments in history. If you don't follow him, I don't know what his Twitter handle is, but it's Jordan Vogt-Roberts. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. He did the King Kong film, Skull Island, I believe the full title was. He did a good job with that. The guy is clearly a fan of genre stuff. I know he's a huge fan of South Korean filmmaking, and he's into all of this stuff, and he's a super video game nerd. Like, he is always tweeting about video games and stuff, which is really cool. But, clearly Oscar Isaac is a high-level actor, who was the person that pointed that out? That was Drew Dolan, who pointed that out, that they cast a real actor. And, of course, this is one of the most famous characters, period, whether you're in video games or not. There's an awareness of the importance of Solid Snake and the Metal Gear Solid franchise, where it's come from, how much it kind of changed video gaming with its in-depth storytelling and its breaking of the fourth wall and its interesting characters, really sort of twisty-turny script and, lots of confusing elements in this thing as well, but it's also an amazing ride. And a movie's got a lot of work to do to kind of capture all of this, because the last thing that you want it to do is kind of look like every other kind of military adventure. You don't want it to look like a Michael Bay Transformers movie. You want it to feel, incredibly quirky and strange and weird, and it should mess with our heads. And I believe that's what this director is capable of, and Oscar Isaac is one of the best actors working today. I think the guy is great in whatever he does. He's made every movie. He was in Drive. He was in that Sucker Punch movie that Zack Snyder directed ages ago, which wasn't a good movie, but it sure looked cool. and he was the standout in those things, like he stood up right next to Ryan Gosling, and you're like, who is this guy? This guy is an amazing actor, and he was terrific in the Star Wars pictures, and of course he's going to be Moon Knight. So his plate is filling up. And I don't think that you can throw that name around without there being some legitimacy at this point, because the guy is wanted. A lot of people want Oscar Isaac in their pictures and in their projects. So if this is official word, and Jordan Vogt-Roberts was out there on Twitter talking about, definitely going for the tone and the feel of Metal Gear today on Twitter, kind of responding to how uniquely positioned the Metal Gear script and the Metal Gear adventures have been, and how that's going to translate to film. But he was, out front and center talking about that this is moving forward. So the fact that this is moved beyond the rumor stage and we're getting close to some kind of a deal is pretty damn huge. But you know what? Let me know what you think about this news. I'll catch up with you guys a little bit as we get into our Let's Play and chat. But obviously, if you're watching the archive of this video, but do come and join us. Do come and join us for the live shows, because they're a lot of fun, and we have the most incredible group of people that join us on the chat. Very insightful, very knowledgeable, and of course, very good-looking people that are always here to support you when you join our community, which we love. But if you can't join the live show, thank you for watching the archive. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for becoming an EPN member. You guys are awesome. But we're going to move on with more big stories in the rundown. And our second one concerns our old friend, Jeff Keighley, who is putting on a new edition of the Game Awards. And, of course, he's already announced who are the contenders for the best game of 2020. And there's some big titles in there, titles that you could probably anticipate, like The Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima is in there, of course, Animal Crossing is in there, Hades is in there, Doom Eternal is in there. So we've got some big games, Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is really cool. But the other thing that has started to kind of hit the wire is the lineup of presenters, and it's amazing. Troy Baker is going to be there. That's somebody that you could kind of expect because he's so prolific in games. Brie Larson is going to be there. Captain Marvel is going to be there. Tom Holland, Spider-Man himself, is going to be a presenter. I think we have another big superhero that's been announced. Yes, Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot is going to be there as well. This is amazing. These are some of the biggest stars in the world. Stephen A. Smith is a huge sports commentator, massive in the sports scene, so that'll be fun. Swedish Chef. Why is Swedish Chef going to... Jeff loves the Muppets. Eddie Vedder is going to perform as well for Pearl Jam, which is just amazing, man. Like, this is, I know that these are more, things that Jeff is ticking off the bucket list, like these have been goals for him to kind of expand the awareness and expand the respect for video games in lots of interesting ways. And it's certainly glitzy and flashy in Hollywood, but it's also incredibly cool. I couldn't be prouder of him, and I can't wait for the show because this is really a tremendous year to celebrate this medium. I know all of you do, and I tweeted yesterday. Of course, I think this all the time, but yesterday it really hit me. It's like video games have been saving lives this year. Video games, with their entertainment and their value and the joy that they've been bringing in lots of different ways, have kept people home and have kept people invested and have kept people entertained. We've seen a huge drop-off on sort of the film, the blockbuster movies kind of getting released and getting people to, rally around and be entertained by, because the studios were all worrying about whether to put things in movie theaters or not. So there's been all of these delays, but video games have kind of been there for the rescue for all of us. So the Game Awards are going to be an amazing way to celebrate it. The only thing that's weird about the awards is that, of course, next week is going to be Cyberpunk 2077's launch. And, like all of you, I'm expecting it to be a contender for best game of the year. And what's weird is that it's too late to be considered as a potential nominee. And it's like releasing on the day of the awards. So it's going to be everywhere. Everybody's going to be talking about Cyberpunk, and then it's not going to be at the awards. So that's weird. And hopefully it's good enough that it gets its recognition next year. But that's always the concern, right? Like, excellent games sometimes come out sort of post that opportunity to be included in the mix. and then a whole stack of new excellent games keep coming out all through the year. That's why it's really important for anybody that's putting awards nominations together around games to kind of think back to the January and February releases and think back to the big games that hit us all year long. It's really easy to forget stuff from even a couple of months ago, because we're always moving so fast and quickly forward. But I am super psyched and super happy and super proud of Jeff Keighley and what he's putting together with the Game Awards. It's going to be a big show, and I can't believe all these superheroes are going to be there. That's phenomenal. Okay, and let's go to our third story, which is kind of a recap on stuff that happened yesterday, which was Warner Brothers announcing that they're going to be releasing their pictures day and date on HBO Max, the same date that they go into the movie theaters, and of course the movie theaters responded. This was I think an exclusive story in the Hollywood Reporter. AMC theaters are saying that Warner Brothers' streaming plan will sacrifice some studio profits. Obviously, there is anger there, and I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if HBO Max has a sliver for theatrical partners or something like that. I don't know if that's what it eventually evolves into, but there's definitely going to be some pushback and some real concern about it. It's pretty clear that there's a lot of players involved in having concern about the demise of the theatrical experience, and everybody's kind of, waiting for the other major studios, particularly Disney, to make similar types of announcements. But yes, the writing is on the wall. The big changes are about to hit the whole movie experience for all of us, and streaming is going to become a much bigger player. And these are huge movies that we're talking about. They cost more than $200 million, most of them. The fact that Dune is going to be available at home day and date is just crazy. But there was a pretty strong statement from Adam Aron, the CEO and president of AMC Entertainment, says clearly Warner Media intends to sacrifice a considerable portion of the profitability of its movie studio division and that of its production partners and filmmakers to subsidize its HBO Max startup. That's a pretty big beatdown. As for AMC, we will do all in our power to ensure that Warner does not do so at our expense. We will aggressively pursue economic terms that preserve our business. So this is going to be a little bit of a battle. And we can respect that the movie theater business isn't going to go down without a fight, and they're going to have something to say about it. And it's very difficult for a company that has all of these different real estate holdings and properties and is dependent on the public coming to these venues for sustainability to kind of just pivot and suddenly, we're a drive-in industry or we're a drive-in business. I feel like they should invest in that direction. But you know what? I think this shakeup with movie theaters has been a long time coming, and I think it's taken the pandemic for a lot of this stuff to come to fore. I mean, like, we are talking about OLED screens that's 75 inches, massive 4K TV sets and 8K TV sets that are in at $1,000 or less. Everybody's going to have really big TVs soon enough, if they don't already. And people are already consuming movie and television content and entertainment on their phones and tablets and stuff. Like the streaming wars begun. The streaming wars are are upon us, and there's going to be a lot of fallout from this. And the pandemic, I think, is a little bit of the cover on how this was all going to happen. But I don't think this decision was made lightly. I think this decision took months of back and forth and discussion. If it was, then it would have happened in the summertime. It would have happened day and date because I think HBO Max was really launched this year, and subscription hasn't been been a wildfire. That's why they've done huge things like the Snyder Cut and stuff to try to generate interest and create a lot of fervor out there for this new emerging streaming platform, which is expected, but this is going to put this service on the map in a big way. One thing that's really kind of concerning, though, especially speaking as a Canadian, I live in Vancouver, BC, and hello to everybody that is watching us all over the world. Canada doesn't seem to have any sort of plan for HBO Max at this point. So, and I don't know if other territories do as either. So, a lot of these Warner Brothers movies might still be destined for movie theaters in a lot of other countries outside of America, and that seems a little dumb. That seems like Warner Brothers and HBO Max should figure that out quickly, because companies like Disney and Netflix have done a pretty good job at getting international and scaling very quickly for all the territories out there and sort of reaping the benefits of that. And I think HBO Max should be doing the same thing. And I think it's going to piss off a lot of movie goers and movie lovers if all of their friends and family that live in the United States can sit safely in their homes and watch all of these things day and date. And Canadians are like, do we risk our lives to go to the movies right now? But I'm saying that, and I know good things are coming. The vaccines are getting distributed. There's going to be, even here in Vancouver, I think today we're getting a press conference about how the vaccines are going to be distributed to people in our city here or in our province here. So the news is starting to happen around that, which is really cool. I've got... Drew Dolan says, I don't have HBO Max, but I would much rather stream these movies than go to a theater during COVID. I'm also about 40 miles away from a theater, so there's that too. Ben Gordon says Crave also compresses a lot of their content down to 720p. Yeah, in Canada, we have a service called Crave, which licenses a lot of HBO movies and content, so we'll see how that goes. Sam I Am 111 is pulling from Ghostbusters. He says the streams are crossing, get down, it's gonna be nothing but streams. Jean-Luc Besson says, I think that's the advantage of the theater, Blair Farrell. People who are in situations where they can only watch on a laptop or who have roommates, etc., COVID aside, theaters are a place to watch. Yes, absolutely. I mean, they're a place to go. That's the other thing, right? Like they're not just the entertainment experience, they're the social experience. They're a date night. They're a, getting to know people kind of thing. But it doesn't make sense to risk lives to do that with restaurants or movie theaters or bowling alley, anything right now. And it won't for a while. So, these companies can send out press releases and stamp their feet and get as angry as they want to, but I think safety comes first. But we also don't want to see these industries completely demolished and devastated. So I think there has to be, government subsidy and help for a lot of these businesses that really make life worth living in a way. I don't want to be highfalutin about that, but like we live and work so that we can play, so that's the play forever is the message. And movie theaters and arcades and restaurant, all of that stuff is a part of it, like we're on this earth to enjoy our lives and to be happy. And those are the things that make us happy, and being around people make us happy. And so, I think our taxes and our governments around the world need to help preserve these things that really fill our lives with joy. And not let these companies go out of business. Now, I don't want any of these companies to take advantage of that or, screw their workers or any of that stuff either. And it's not easy, and I'm reducing a lot of really complex discussion to some pretty simplistic bullet points here. But there's a lot at play, and specifically when it comes to the movie business and the consumption of this entertainment, we have never had these luxuries in human history before. We've never had movie theaters, like scale models of movie theaters in our homes like we do now. I walk down the street in my neighborhood and window after window is just this giant flat screen on the wall. And, it's insane how lucky we are, to live in this kind of present, like we are so over entertained. It's insane. And so that's the real fight. COVID's in the middle of it, and COVID is a catalyst for these changes. But the real fight is we have big things that we can watch stuff on, or we have like HDR capable tablets that, are not that expensive, but the image quality is incredible. And then you can put Bluetooth headphones in that have like crazy surround sound, It's insane, the tech that we have at our disposal, and so theaters have to fight that. They gotta fight the perception of fear and being safe, but they also have to fight that whole like what's it like to be entertained experience as well. And one key way is that they are a social space, and there's lots of cool movie theaters around the world where you can go in and have dinner, like the Alamo Drafthouse and stuff. They really make it an event. I think that's really key, and I think that's going to be a big part of the future of movie theater screened entertainment. But listen, it's a huge topic. It was a huge topic yesterday. We went on at length, and I love the discussion around it. I love to read all of your comments, and I will get to that. But we have more big things to talk about, including a new episode of The Mandalorian. But first, it's time for This Day in Everything Cool. Welcome to This Day and Everything Cool for December 4th. Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity? On this day in 2012, Ubisoft took players to an island paradise filled with action and mayhem. The open-world shooter Far Cry 3 was released in North America following its release in Europe and Asia a few days earlier. The game thrust players into the role of an American college student who finds himself stranded on a tropical island controlled by a deadly militia, forcing him to fight in order to survive. Developer Ubisoft Montreal wanted to create a story that would explore the darker aspects of humanity, showing the lengths normal people can go when their life is on the line. The story is made all the more chilling thanks to the breakout performance of actor Michael Mando as the main villain Voss.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
On the gameplay side, Ubisoft made Far Cry 3 a lot more fast-paced than its predecessor, Far Cry 2, striking a near-perfect balance between realism and escapism. Ubisoft also took an idea from their open-world franchises like Assassin's Creed and filled the world of Far Cry 3 with loads of side activities, which gave it plenty of replayability. The game received critical acclaim, becoming one of the best of the year and selling almost 5 million copies in its first 6 months. Several sequels and spin-offs have followed, but Far Cry 3 remains the high point of the franchise. Oh man, Far Cry 3 and Michael Mando, who I got to get to know because we had him in the Canadian Video Game Awards, and he's just such a great dude. He's such a funny guy. He's crazy. He did some awesome things. I think it was the one that we had Elias Tufexis host the show, and it was so fun. And he and Michael Mando had a huge. You should check it out on YouTube. There's a whole video where we shot those two going at it in motion capture space, and they were really funny. They pretended to have this intense rivalry. But Michael Mando has been blowing up. He's all over the freaking place. He's potentially coming back as Scorpion in Spider-Man. But, of course, he's a huge star on Better Call Saul, and I think he's just starting to appear on something brand new right now. But that game, Far Cry 3, was incredible. All right, you guys, we are going to talk about the new episode of The Mandalorian, which just launched today. So I can't really get into this like I haven't been able to with my previous kind of episodic, breakdowns and thoughts on previous episodes without spoiling stuff. So I'm giving you a warning here. We'll put it in the chat. Somebody will put it in the chat that the discussion around Mandalorian will be over. So maybe you can mute for a little while and stick around and try not to read. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to spoil it for you. You have to see it. But I saw Ben Silverman posting, our old buddy Ben Silverman posting on Twitter that he woke up this morning and turned on Twitter and was spoiled by 3 posts about what's in the episode. You cannot be on social media, and I don't think you can watch nerdy fun shows like EP on Fridays until you've seen The Mandalorian. I mean, that's the world we're in right now. It's kind of like we wake up for this feature film. It reminds me of that. I had that same excitement, like I was getting into the line to go and see a Star Wars movie back in the 80s, in the late 70s and the 80s. It's so good, This show is so freaking good. And we had some huge things happen today. Basically, what's going on in The Mandalorian is we're trying to get Grogu. Is that right? Grogu? I haven't really said the name out loud. Is it Grogu? Well, we're trying to get him to see if he's got Jedi tendencies. And so last episode, Ahsoka Tano said to the Mandalorian that he should take Grogu to the Seeing Stone on this planet. And And the stone and Grogu's reaction to it. It's weird to say that out loud. Am I saying it right? Is it Baby Yoda? It is. Yes. Okay. It's weird to say it out loud. I've never said it out loud before. And so Grogu and the stone, we're going to kind of figure out, a little bit of what happens next for this character, this incredibly important character, the child that it's clear Mando is falling in love with and just really cares for. And it's wonderful to see that. We're seeing an arc with this character, this masked character that can't show expressions. We're seeing this huge emotional arc through these 2 seasons, and it's just incredible. And it's very satisfying. This is another episode where it feels like this episodic serialized adventure tale is perfect in this format. Yes, it's smaller scale than the movies, but it's not a bit less satisfying. In fact, it might be more, because what's happening, there's a couple things. We're really starting to understand the dangers of the galaxy during Star Wars. It's the second part of it is wars, and I think what happens in the cacophony of the massive films is it all just numbs you. It's just beautiful light show after beautiful light show. But when we drill into these stories and these characters, and we get to know the fragility of different players as we're watching these episodes unfurl, we understand how violent and scary and deadly and instantaneous things can change in the world of Star Wars. And that's starting to really become a reality. It's not like there's death happening. Well, there's a lot of stormtroopers that bite the dust, but it's not like it's like carnage. It's just that it feels visceral. It feels like there is, especially around Grogu. I'm gonna have to get used to saying that. Especially around Grogu, you feel his vulnerability as a character that is very powerful but doesn't know how to use the power, and that is certainly a huge component in this episode. But massive spoiler coming up. But of course, what we're getting in this episode is we catch up with Boba Fett again, and we've seen him. We knew he was out there, but in this episode, it's Boba Fett's time to shine in a bigger way and a better way than he ever has in all of Star Wars live action. I'm not so sure if there's been animated stuff. There's been some pretty cool Boba Fett appearances in video games, but this was unbelievable to see Boba Fett jetpack in and just kick the living crap out of stormtroopers, even without his armor. But when he got the Mandalorian armor on, it was just insane. And of course, they've decked it out. I forget the actor's name, but it's the same actor that played Jango Fett and has voiced a lot of the clones, and he's been a part of the Lucasfilm lore forever. You guys will tell me what the actor's name is, but he's a middle-aged Boba Fett. Boba Fett was Boba Thick. So he's aged up and he's survived a lot. He got out of the pit. He didn't get eaten by the monster that was going to take 1,000 years to digest him. And he basically just wants his armor back. And in exchange, he wants to help Mando. And so we get to see Boba Fett fight, and he brings back, I think it's Fennec is the name of the character, played by, what's her name? Ming-Hua Wen, I believe, who appeared in an earlier episode of Mandalorian. She's on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We've seen her in a ton of things. She's in, she's in tons of things. Mulan. She's in the Mulan picture as well. She was the voice of Mulan, I think, in the old animated show. And she's a terrific performer, and she kicks some serious ass in this as well. But what happens is after the Seeing Stone sort of events take place, and we get to really kind of feel the power of Grogu, there's that name, we have 2 fleets of stormtroopers land, and they've got all kinds of incredible technology, and they're blasting at our heroes. And of course, a lot of them just get killed quickly and instantly. The stormtrooper fodder is a real thing in here. They have laser Gatling guns, and they get crushed by all kinds of massive obstacles. Incredible, epic action sequences. But eventually, Moff Gideon, played by by Giancarlo Esposito, the incredible Giancarlo Esposito, calls in the Dark Troopers. And, that is just an incredible connection to extended Star Wars lore. That's from the video games and stuff. And it's just amazing to see that whole sequence. They they land right next to Grogu, and they take off with him. And there is a massive cliffhanger about what's going to happen next at the end of the episode. And we're starting to see Mando kind of assemble the Dirty Dozen. This is the showdown. This is going to be the big thing where we're, going to see all of these incredibly powerful and treacherous and dangerous, interesting, highly trained characters are going to show off against the shadows of the Empire. I don't mean to. I think we had that in our in our This Day and Everything Cool yesterday. But this is the Empire that just hasn't died and is kind of getting reborn a little bit. So I don't know if this is the beginning stages of the First Order or not. I mean, there's a lot of threads here. There's a lot of different ways that this can go. There's also a lot of doors opening for cameos in subsequent episodes and subsequent seasons of this show. It's incredibly exciting. Of course, everybody's talking about Sebastian Stan being possibly hired to play a young Luke Skywalker in some kind of a supporting way in future seasons of the show, or maybe have his own show of his own. I think Mando is changing everything. I think that this series is really opening eyes like crazy. It's it's a phenomenon. Everybody is talking about this thing, and rightly so. It's a beautifully put together piece of Star Wars entertainment that, I don't know, man, for my money, it feels like Filoni is really sort of, he's honoring the potential of what Star Wars meant to all of us that have been here for so long. I just feel like there's a real awareness and an appreciation and a respect and a love for the source, and he's definitely making live action versions of the stories and the ideas and the themes that he was putting and crafting through the Clone Wars and Rebels, and I'm there for all of it. I love it. I like these short form mini movies that we get every week. I've said this before, but it's just unbelievably exciting for me to be sharing these with my kid. I actually woke up my daughter today. Hold on, I'll grab her for you. One sec. Actually, I woke up my daughter this morning. She was still sleeping, so I wasn't a great dad because I woke her up to watch Star Wars, but I did it with this guy, with little Grogu. So, and she freaked out a little bit because this kind of a little scary thing to wake up to. Anyways, I was so excited, and it's just amazing for me to watch this show holding her hand, and it's all new, and I don't know where they're taking us, and I just love it. I also did feel like this was a very TV-esque episode of The Mandalorian. It felt like they were throwing in all the budget got boosted for this episode, and we're going to have all of these big epic moments and the fan service, and it felt very calculated, but it was still so joyous, and I loved it. I love that this actor, did you guys tell me what the actor's name? Dark Troopers, also known as Sentinels, Blair Farrell, from Dark Forces, that's right, Star Wars Dark Forces, Nintendo Boy 17. I don't think anybody jumped in on the actor's name. But yeah, just incredible. Solitaire01 says, Vic, you'd be arguably a better father figure to Grogu than Mando. Well, I wouldn't put Grogu in as many precarious situations. I wouldn't take him across the galaxy getting into fights all the time. Tamura Morrison is Boba's actor. Yeah, he's incredible. I'm really happy for him too, right? That's one of the things that I really respect about Star Wars as well. It's this sort of permanence across decades, and how actors can go and then come back and be a part of it in different ways. And now that it's also connected to the animated work and the video game work, like I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Sam Witwer Starkiller appearance, and it would be insane. And I know like Sam's a huge part of the Lucasfilm family. He's in, lots of the animated work. He's voiced huge characters like Darth Maul and the Emperor. But he also does a lot of voiceover work for the films and the games, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see that. And that threading is just so damn good. So anyways, I loved the episode. At the end of the season, I'll just, I'll sort of tally it all up and give you my final score and my final thought on it. But honestly, I asked people on Twitter a few days ago, which is your favorite sci-fi TV show of all time? And you only get 4 options on the polling on Twitter, which sucks because obviously there's a lot that you could pull from. And I put The Mandalorian in there, and I think it won. And everybody was kind of replying back and saying that this is because it's so current and this is what everybody's thinking about and talking about. But listen, I've seen tons of excellent sci-fi. I love Fringe. Battlestar Galactica has been my favorite sci-fi show. But there's something, I don't know, just heartwarming, and part of it is I'm watching it with my kid. Absolutely. Part of it is that I'm stretching these decades and these generations, and I'm fusing it all together in these moments, and watching her reaction and her jump scares and her excitement for these tales is totally fueling all of my love for it as well. Absolutely, and I'm aware of that, but it's quickly becoming my favorite sci-fi that I've consumed on TV. And I don't think there's been a better looking sci-fi show in terms of visual effect fidelity and the cool sort of visual moments that we've seen. It's just unbelievable. And Battlestar looks incredible. The Expanse looks incredible. I love Fringe and lots of other shows out there, but I don't know, man. Star Wars: The Mandalorian, I'm loving it. Would love to hear what you guys think about the show, about the episode, and we'll definitely check in. I think there's only a couple more episodes for the season. It's running out quick. Okay, all right. Let's move on to our next topic for today. So it's lots of stuff to communicate about and get into, but this is something that's been on my mind for a little while. I think what Ubisoft has done with these 3 recent open world games is unprecedented. I don't think that anybody has released games as large as Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Watch Dogs Legion, and Immortals Phoenix Rising so close together ever before. And I don't know if that was smart. Because obviously if you gave each one of these games a little more breathing room, you give people more time to kind of find it and talk about it. And I don't know if it's going to hurt the sales figures on any one of these. But what I can say about all 3 of these games, and we're looking at some footage of the absolutely stunningly beautiful Assassin's Creed Valhalla right now, is that they're all really freaking fun. They're all really, really good games. And I don't know how much that speaks to the, this perpetual training, this idea that a lot of their teams are like constantly iterating on these open world scenarios and moments. But gosh, these are crazy solid games. There are definitely little bugs and little hiccups, and there's, moments of repetition and tedium, which kind of hits all of the open world titles. None of them I think are, perfect. And certainly they've had great competition from Sony this year with Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Ghost of Tsushima in terms of open world action adventures. But it just blows my mind that all 3 of these things have come out within weeks of each other. And I've been jumping back and forth, playing them all. I've been playing Immortals on PlayStation 5. I've been playing Watch Dogs Legion and Assassin's Creed Valhalla on Xbox Series X. And I've been loving them. I do have some thoughts, though, because obviously Immortals and Assassins both run at 60 frames per second. And I don't know if they've got some resolution, like the resolution sort of bounces up and down. It's supposed to hit and target 4K on Assassin's Creed, and you can absolutely see that, because the fidelity and the details is absolutely incredible. A little less so in Immortals, which is obviously a lot more cartoon-like, a lot more family-friendly, but it runs really well. When you jump back into Watch Dogs Legion, that drop to 30 frames per second is really noticeable, and that was something that this transition to the new generation of machines I didn't really anticipate that, because we've been playing a lot of big games at 30 frames per second, and it's been fine. But it's weird now to go from a 60 frames open world experience to a 30 frame game. But that being said, Watch Dogs Legion has some absolutely stunning ray tracing and gorgeous, futuristic visual flourishes, lots and lots of signage and detail and neon lighting everywhere, and colored piping and reflective surfaces. There's statue guys that are all painted in silver, and they're reflecting everything off of them, and you can just see the game showing off with all of its shininess, and it's really cool. And of course, you're always hacking things. You're always in front of computer terminals and stuff like that in Watch Dogs Legion. And so, what I've been really discovering about all these three games is that they're all just a joy to jump into. I feel like Watch Dogs is going to be the one. I thought it was going to be Immortals, but I think everybody's really starting to talk about Immortals Phoenix Rising. They're finding it, and because it's a new property, I think it's getting a little bit of attention right now, because it's there's no sequel, there's nothing else attached to it, and it just felt like Ubisoft Quebec was able to just go off and be as zany and have as much fun as they want. And they're obviously, paying homage to classic action adventure games like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It's a lot like that, but it's really, really fun, and I'm happy that people are finding it. What I feel, though, is Watch Dogs Legion is kind of getting buried. I think the Assassin's lineage and it's the big brand for Ubisoft. I think Assassin's Creed is probably the first game that a lot of people think about when you hear the name Ubisoft now. And I think that a lot of people are finding Valhalla and are very happy with it. I certainly am. It's a gorgeous game, and there's lots of gameplay in every direction, and there's like all the Assassin's Creed games, it's like overstuffed with things to do and characters to talk to and fights to get into. It's also a much bigger role-playing experience than the last gen of Assassin's Creed games were. They really started to go into the role-playing type direction with Origins, and then they expanded on that with Odyssey, and this just further accentuates it. It really feels like a fusion between The Witcher and Elder Scrolls and previous Assassin adventures, which is amazing. This is really high pedigree. Watch Dogs Legion, though, I think is that one that everybody has just kind of quickly moved on from. It was also the first one that came down the pipeline. It was Watch Dogs, then Assassins, and now Immortals. But bang, 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 And the thing that it reminded me of is when Sony used to publish Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, and Sly Cooper games every year on the PlayStation 2. And every year I would say, why are these all coming out at the same frickin' time? Who you got to pick one. Like, who's going to get all three of these every single year? I know some of you guys did, but I don't think the regular mom and pop that, were buying their kids games to play or games for themselves to play were going in and getting every iteration of every one of those games every year. And they were all from the same company. It was like, you couldn't have spread them out into different months or different quarters of the year at least. And I feel a little bit of that with what's happened here with these huge open world games. And I don't know if you guys have been playing Watch Dogs Legion. The thing that I like the most about it, well, it's a crazy fun stealth game, right? And you can try to do all of the conflict or all of the missions, all the objectives in the game by being as sneaky as you can possibly try to. You can try to do everything where you're not hitting anybody. Eventually alarms go off or you get discovered or something. You get into a lot of conflict and combat for sure. But I like that I don't know, that toy box quality of like, how do I do this again? Or, how am I going to, there's always hacking. It's always about getting to a computer and hacking or using a spider bot to do some hacking or whatever. But I like the different approaches that you can take to each of the missions. I also love the way they've dressed up London. It just looks incredible. All the little neighborhoods that you go into, all the shops and the ray tracing on The 4K update has been really beautiful, and you see all of the reflections in the puddles, and there's lots of shiny glass doors that you're walking into as your character, and you see your reflection and the HDR lighting behind you, and it's a really nice showpiece for the generation of game consoles that we've just entered into, and also, where things are going to go from here. It's really easy to understand that, developers are going to get better with these systems, and we're going to see a lot more 4K, 60 frames, HDR, ray tracing, like just absolute perfection, as close to perfection as we're going to see for a long time on consoles. And it's exciting, and it's really a fun game. Every time I go back to watch, they're all really fun, but there's something so toy-like about Watch Dogs Legion that it's really, really making me happy when I play the game. I get addicted to it really quickly, and it's interesting because I'm bouncing. I'm on my second playthrough of Miles Morales. I'm almost done. On PlayStation 5, and that's just gorgeous. But I've been bouncing between all of these just luxurious open world games that are just filled with all these details and all this exploration, and it's just amazing. But I don't know. I wanted to talk a little bit about what Ubisoft has just accomplished here. It's I think we take it for granted, and we can be cynical about the machinery that they have in place. But Ubisoft Toronto was the lead on Watch Dogs. Ubisoft Montreal was the lead on Valhalla, and Ubisoft Quebec was the lead on Immortals, and they all kicked ass, And I don't think they should have all kicked ass so close together. They could have kicked ass throughout the whole year, but they sure did it. And I just wanted to commend them, tell them what they did was impossible. And I don't envy the marketing teams that are probably all fighting for budgets and attention and review scores, and awareness around all of these games. And I think that's the thing too, right? Like this crazy cluttered world that we live in with all of these digital amusements everywhere. Discoverability is a massive problem. So I don't know why one company says, let's make it harder on ourselves and let's throw these games out at the same time. So, and I guess the short of it, like I think I gave Watch Dogs at 8.5 and Immortals at 8.5 and Assassins at about a 9. I mean, I give the whole effort to what Ubi has just done a 9. I mean, that's just insane. And I feel like I would like to give them a little bit of a breath, like don't do this again next year. We don't need 3 massive open world games at the exact same time. Let us enjoy each one of these special things that you guys craft for us. So anyways, wanted to chat about that for a little bit. Anoop Tour is asking, what sort of music do I like? I have eclectic tastes. I'm a huge singer-songwriter fan, though. I love Tom Waits and Elvis Costello. There's a singer-songwriter named John Hyatt that's written lots of great things. But one of my favorite bands is Block Party, and Block Party is in Watch Dogs Legion, which is because they're a UK-based band. I love those guys. Man, I mean, I listen to different kinds of music all the time. The stuff that I've been listening to like crazy since the movie came out was the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse soundtrack. That's been every time I go for a walk or whatever, I have my AirPods on and I say, Siri, I don't want to say it. Siri's going to talk to me. But I play that when I'm walking around, and I love that soundtrack. But I listen to electronic stuff. I listen to soundtracks. The Mando soundtrack is awesome. I listen to some old Chris Christopherson music and thought that was pretty cool. I like AC/DC's got some great tracks. A little bit of everything. Some classical music sometimes. And some pop music is okay for sure. My kid's really into Billie Eilish, and I think she's pretty phenomenal as well. When I hear that the songwriting prowess that she and her brother have, and they're so young, is really unbelievable. But yeah, I like a little bit of it all. The one thing, I'm I'm not out of the house, and where I listen to most of my music is when when I'm walking around and going to places. I usually have it on my iPhone, and I'm not doing that much these days, other than when we have to get some groceries or something like that. So I'm listening to less music than I would like to. Another soundtrack that I just loved was the Tron Legacy soundtrack that Daft Punk put together, and then there was a remix version of that, which was just phenomenal. So good, big question, many answers. I've had lots of different favorite bands over the years. Comment, I've been listening to the soundtrack to the 1970s movie Suspiria, Jordan Cunningham. Never heard of that. That's awesome. It blows my mind how Cyberpunk has lower system requirements. Ever heard of Soca Music, Vic? Most Def. I did that on my PS4 originally. All the original God of War started my Saga collection. For me, my favorites are Fall Out Boy, Metallica, Foo Fighters, Linkin Park. Sometimes Bennington's Death Makes It Hard. There you go. You like the rock and roll, man. Can't wait to get a hold of the new remix, Tron Legacy remix soundtrack. It's incredible, the remixed version of the Tron Legacy stuff. Awesome. I do like the John Carpenter music. One of the things that I mean, you guys hear a lot of the music that I kind of suss out when I'm putting my edits together for some of the pieces, and I have really dug this kind of synthy, this kind of harder synth kind of sound that I think Stranger Things and this 80s fascination has kind of manifested. And so there's a lot of music that kind of has that sound. That recent Strokes album actually had that, and I really liked that album. That was great. But on YouTube, when I'm looking for tracks to put under some of the reviews and that stuff, I find that I gravitate towards that. It's a little bit more concussive and percussive, but it has that kind of synth beat to it, which I think is really cool. So now you got me thinking about the music that I've been listening to. So I'm gonna open up. I'm not gonna start playing it, but what have I been digging? What have I been playing? Well, now it's all Christmas stuff. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's been too long. I haven't been on a walk in a while to, by myself to kind of just get lost in my music. But I certainly love listening to music, and I have a lot of favorites out there. Anybody listen to Tom Waits? Am I the only one that does? Hey, Vic, what's the best movie game? Ooh, that's a big question. That's from John O'Brother 03. Why don't you guys throw down some suggestions on that while I pop us into Fire Emblem. Let me see if I get this title correct. What's this called again? Fire Emblem. I've never played it. Came out in 1990 on the NES. This is the first time I'm loading this up. I'll turn the music on. Hopefully it's not too loud. This was just published by Nintendo today. It's a remake of the NES game Sword and... I forgot all the rest of the words. Vic, if you like Canadian singer-songwriters and classical music, check out Jeremy Dutcher. Cool Solitaire 01. GoldenEye, Peter Corcasar says for best movie game. Let's start new game. Actually, I guess we're jumping in. X-Men Origins Wolverine from Baruti. That's a great pick. Great pick, my friend. That is a very good discussion. I'd like to see in the chat a whole bunch of ideas for your ideas for the best movie game out there, and I'll play a little bit of this and then I'll jump back in and I'll definitely talk about it. Best movie game for me is Spider-Man 2, Dark Ram 13. That was phenomenal. That was unexpected and crazy damn good. Okay, so we're Marth. He embarks, has alighted from Talus Castle. Kadia, what's wrong? Did something happen? Ben Gordon's a new member. Right on. Thanks for joining, pal. Prince Marth, what a relief. Tally's castle is under attack from pirates of Galder. After a fierce fight, they have taken the castle. I beg you, please save my father. Don't worry, Kata. What's this game called again, guys? I can't remember the whole title. It's Fire Emblem Sword. That's all I can remember. I put it in the title. Oh no, I didn't. Because it was all, I forget what it's called. I put it in, it's Shadow of Dragon or something like that. I can't remember, guys. Okay, it's one of the very early NES Fire Emblem games, and I do love Fire Emblem, and I've played almost all of them. I've never played this one, though, because it's been remade for the Nintendo Switch, and it's not included as part of the NES Online service. You have to pay for it. It's a separate thing. $7.99 in Canada. I think it's $5.99 in the States. And so the idea with Fire Emblem is it's a turn-based strategy game. You choose your character. Oh, that's not my character. This is my character, yes? Oh no, that's my pirate thief. Okay. I can't tell what sprites are which. Okay, so that... Okay. Oh, B. B. Okay. There we go. Okay, now I can attack. Alright, here we go. So they had little cut sequences even way back then, which is crazy. Oh! There it is, Mondo Blasto Zero. Thanks for coming to the rescue. Fire Emblem, Shadow Dragon, and the Blade of Light. Once I've done 40 hours of this game, I'll remember the title. But that's a lot of title to remember. Okay, let's get up here, and we are gonna move this character over to here. And so this is the idea. You basically, it's like it's a combat game and a chess game at the same time. You take it over. Everybody knows Fire Emblem, right? Everybody in the chat right now. This is going way back. Noob Tour is asking how everybody feels about GoldenEye on the chat. I think we're all pro GoldenEye here. GoldenEye was insane. I have amazing memories of, that was, I think, a 1997 game. That was season 1 of Electric Playground, and we had a little party of people in the office always playing games like that, and Wave Race and Ridge Racer and all of these cool Wipeout, all of these cool split-screen multiplayer experiences. GoldenEye was so fun. Okay, so there's Mr. Marth. Let's go walk over here. Groovy. Let's wait. Come on, Paladin. Let's go for a little walk. Let's go over here. How far does it tell you you've gone too far? Okay, it stops. That's good. Let's get right up there. Chronicles of Riddick. Yeah, see, I knew you guys would be coming up with some excellent ideas. Oh, I pressed B by accident. Okay, so select. So this is back in the NES days. Oh, I should have used my NES controller. I actually have one of those. No! I pressed B again. Okay, I'll get the controls down. Gotcha. I love it. This is a 2020 game, everybody. This came out today. The Scarface video game, made right here in Vancouver by good old Radical Entertainment. Ooh, Peter Kokasar, what's better, GoldenEye or Star Wars Squadrons? I think GoldenEye's more important. It was a defining game. It kind of helped to get us all to recognize how important first-person shooters could be on console. I can still play GoldenEye today and still have a lot of fun, but I think it's one of those games that you just had to be there. Would not recommend it to someone who has never played it before. Yeah, I mean, it's been so taken by first-person shooters. There was an excellent Wii GoldenEye remaster-ish, and I think they threw Daniel Craig into the mix in that one, if I'm not mistaken. But that was a wicked game. I think Eurocom made that game. They did an excellent job. It came out in the other platforms as well, but it was just a perfect fit on Wii because it was made for the Wii and then kind of scaled up to the other machines. And the motion controls are actually pretty cool in that game. Stormcrow and Van is closed, a noob tour. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of part and parcel with what we're talking about here with the movie theaters, right? It's just going to become increasingly more difficult. My wife keeps reminding me that, you know, we need to get out and support our local, and all of you do too, all of the local shops that you dig in your neighborhood. You need to we all need to kind of do that, you know, like make a concerted effort to go and buy food from restaurants that we like and goods from, you know, a toy store nearby or whatever, you know, like they're all struggling. My kid and I walked up to a comic store that we really like that's not too far away, and it felt good to spend some money there. Every company is struggling, man. Anywhere that needs people to come in is struggling. I can't believe I've been streaming pixel games like this. So like it's so like we're in the age of the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, and I'm playing a game from 1990. But yesterday I was playing 2 other pixel games too. It's funny, man. It just goes to show you that it's all valid, it's all fun, and it's all good forever. I mean, we're talking about GoldenEye right now. Lego Indiana Jones was excellent. The Lego Star Wars Complete Collection, or the one that put all of the first 6 movies into a game, was pretty phenomenal. There was an excellent PSP version of that game too. That's a big discussion. What is the best licensed movie game? That's a big discussion. That's not an easy choice. I don't think there's going to be one that we all say, oh, of course it's that. I think there's so many. Let's get the bow gun. There we go. Shoot him! What's a YouTube? Sometimes the old ways are the best. I mean, we're really learning that, right? All of these retro consoles and retro machines and retro gaming channels. When I cover the retro stuff, whether it's the Sega Genesis Mini or the TurboGrafx or the analog stuff, we get a lot of views on those videos. There's a lot of love for that kind of content, and I'm very happy about that. You know, it's not just, you know, old lifers like me that have been playing forever that dig this stuff. I mean, there's a lot of us, but I think there's also a lot of new generations of players are kind of finding these old classic games and respecting them and having a lot of fun with them, which is awesome. Shadow of Mordor is great. Not really based specifically on a film. I think Spider-Man 2's got to be way up there. That was insane. It was so good that it colored my initial appreciation for what Insomniac did in 2018. Alright, so... yeah, the game's here, man. Like, Fire Emblem as we know it in 2020, it's all right here. Do I remember Yoda stories? I remember the game Yoda stories. I don't remember playing Yoda stories, or like being really blown away by it. But I do remember that it came out. Scott Pilgrim, yeah, the Scott Pilgrim game. I streamed that not too long ago on a Vic's Basement. That was a lot of fun. Wanted, the Wanted game was pretty damn good. You're right. And Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions wasn't a movie game, but arguably one of the coolest superhero experiences ever. I would love for them to make a sequel to that, a direct sequel, or a remaster of that. It's totally different developers and license holders, obviously, now, but that was so great. On A New Bloody Roar, Brian Cintron is asking, what are my thoughts on A New Bloody Roar? I mean, I remember playing the game, but again, it's not a game that I carry with me, and I think I need to revisit. That was a PlayStation 1 game, right? I need to revisit it and see what kind of enjoyment I get from it. You know, like, this thing's packing around 30 years of, you know, game stories and adventures and experiences and memories around those games, and I certainly have tons of things that I can recall right away, but I've got so much stuff in there from all of these years of reviewing things that if it doesn't immediately jump out at me, doesn't necessarily mean that I don't really like it. It's just that there's other things that are in there. I have a tough time, which is pretty cool, recalling things that I really hated. You know, there's the big ones like Chicken Shoot and I don't know, some other crap stuff as well, but I generally just remember the games that I really love. The Rocky game was pretty fun, absolutely. Dark Realm 13. The one that I actually I haven't installed it into my Polymega yet, but I really want to go back to it. I remember Tommy and I really liking the Xena Warrior Princess game that EA published, believe it or not. And it was way better. I mean, that's always the fun thing with licensed games, right? Like oh, too close. The work has been done in defining the property, so it's all just about the investment in the mechanics and the gameplay and the surprise that the developer's going to, you know, bring to the table. And you often take for granted, or you underestimate the value of what that experience is going to be. And when you are surprised, and it's actually a great game, like Xena actually turned out to be, at least in my memory, and definitely GoldenEye, and definitely Spider-Man 2. It's awesome. I know that people were really surprised about Arkham because there was this there was this real expectation that it was going to be another lame Batman game. There had been so many of them. And I'm one of the E3 critics every year, and I talked to a lot of the other critics, and we were sort of sussing up the games that were coming out. I think that was 2008, right? We were talking about all the other games, and I'm like, this is the game of the year, guys. This is the best thing that is coming out this year. And I think a lot of people were just like, yeah, but you're just a big Batman nerd. You just love all that stuff. But I could see how special that thing was. It had a lot to do with Batman, and it had nothing to do with Batman. It was just an excellent game. Okay. Can I get to that? No. Oh, I can't. Okay. How come I can't attack? What's up? Do I have to be a step away? Okay, come on over here. Nope. Marth, what's going on? How come I can't stab? I want to stab some people. I got my rapier. I'll take swords for 500, Alex. Words. I'll take swords for... Oh, man. Rest in peace. Dick Tracy on the NES, Dark Ram 13. I haven't played that. I think I played the Dick Tracy Game Boy game for side-scrolling superheroes, and I think I liked that. I thought that was pretty cool. And I was impressed with the Punisher game for side-scrolling superheroes on Game Boy. Okay. I can't do anything with that guy. I don't know why. Okay. No. No. How come I'm not... I want to stab the peoples. Let me stab them. Oh. There we go. Attack! That's what we want. Iron Sword. Goodbye! Goodbye, Mr. Bond. We meet again, Trebek. Rest in peace. All of it. Oh my god, it's so sad. From Russia with Love, that was a cool movie game experience with Sean Connery. Incredible, right? I got to stream that one again. Oh, man. Yeah. So much value in that classic stuff. Literal value, but also entertainment value and informational value. And a Ghost Rider game, Adrian Leon? Yes, there was. Street Fighter, the movie, the game. I have that on the Saturn. That was not good. This is cool, man. I love this franchise. Stream GoldenEye. It's the day for it. Why is today the day for GoldenEye? Is there something? Did it come out today or something? We got to get past this map at least before I move on to any other games. Well, KF Network TV, you saw that IO Interactive is bringing out a 007 game. They've announced that they're working on it. They're hiring for it. They're the Hitman team, or the Hitman developers. Howdy, Super Boo 85. Good to see you. Oh, I know why I probably couldn't stab anybody, because they're all on my team. I get it. Have you guys been watching The Queen's Gambit on Netflix? Hell of a good show. So darn good. Can't recommend it highly enough. Can I get him? No. Hitman 3 in VR, baby. VR Grid is all over it. I've got a Medal of Honor VR game. I don't know. Can I say that? I think it's coming up very soon. I'll be looking at the Medal of Honor game very soon in VR. Developed by Respawn Entertainment. You know what? The Batman animated series game that Konami made for SNES is amazing. And the Batman animated series game that Sega made for Genesis, also amazing, but in a totally different way. All right, there we go. Two hits. Oh, I see. Anoop Tour. I should play GoldenEye because we've been talking about it so much. I'm not prepared. I don't have a Nintendo 64 hooked up. That game and many others should be available to play on the Switch. There is some definite irony there, Sam I Am 111. A lot of history. A lot of connections around both of those brands through Respawn. All right, so here we go. No way is Vic going to show up in that room full of non-maskers. Nope, I will never be doing that. Well, until everybody is vaccinated. Dread vs. Death. I don't think I've ever played that one. That's from John O'Brother 03. I love that the movie game ideas keep coming up. Solitaire 01, we were not at the reunion. I think what they were really focused on was the shows that they own as a network. They own X-Play and they own Attack of the Show. They don't own EP or Judgment Day or Reviews on the Run. We were the longest-running third-party partner for G4. We were there from day one, and, well, if you count our Canadian counterpart, until the very end, basically. I think we ended up making more content for G4 in totality than anybody else, than any other content creators. Oh, Tiago Santos, I love it, man. It's been a wonderful way to tackle this season, what I call the Game Avalanche, alone during this kind of weird year, right? Like, I couldn't even really get together with people anyway, so this is a way to kind of, check out all of this stuff and talk about it and play it with you guys. And it's been communal, so it's been really, really fun for me, and I'm really glad that you're here. Okay, so let's see. Let's attack. The music's so happy for all of this death and carnage that's happening. Do-do-do, Pathetic Earthling, they're still working it out. Tom Waits rules, by the way. I'm 20 minutes behind in the stream. Oh, Daniel C. Thank you. Thanks for the Tom Waits backup. I don't know how many people listen to Tom Waits, but he's one of a kind. I'm also a big fan of jazz. I like jazz trumpet. Like Miles Davis for sure. What is it? Clifford Brown? Lots of other trumpet players. I don't know all that. Chet Baker, of course, there's. I used to work in a record store. We were talking about music, and so I was already a huge music fan, but I was exposed to tons of music. Really got into Brazilian stuff, and I'd spend hundreds every month on music. I actually had a side gig when I was a kid. I'd make mixtapes for restaurants in Vancouver. And then before all of that became automated and people were piping in music through the internet and stuff like that. But I have a huge music library of when people used to buy CDs. And, my taste is pretty eclectic. But it's funny, like, as we've gone further and further into this digital realm, the idea of, I think about this often, right? Like, we come from maybe the last generation, all of us, and we're expanding the term generation over maybe multiple generations, where we're going to be pointing at bookshelves and saying, that's me, that's what I'm into, those things, those movies and games and action figure. I guess action figures will be the last thing to go, and collectibles and things. But, of course, all of our media, our comics, our books, our music, our games, our movies, it's all going to be digital, and it's going to be so inherently personal and, authenticated by the algorithm attached to all of it, that I don't think we're really ever going to be in this stage of, like, here, let me show you my phone for this is the music that I'm into. I think we're just all going to privately carry those tastes with us and not really talk about it in quite the way. Like, when I was growing up, it was a huge part of defining yourself, is to talk about the tunes that you liked and the bands that you liked. And I don't know if that's still the same. I don't know in this kind of Spotify era. I guess people share playlists, right? Records are actually pretty popular. There definitely is this comeback of the record stores for sure. Yes. Anoop Tour. I concur with that idea about G4 and streaming. Tiago Santos. Yeah, we didn't script that. It was important for us to be authentic with what we were communicating. And so I think people really kind of connected with that and responded to that. It put us in a position of there's an extra layer of stress there when you hit record on a camera or you hit go on a stream or something and you don't have a script that you're reading off of. But I think people respond to reality, and I certainly did. There was a huge, it doesn't really do this anymore, but Much Music in Canada was a really important home for obviously music videos, but the culture around music as I was coming up, and certainly as I was becoming a TV producer. And I looked at what Much Music did, and so much of the content that came from that channel felt very authentic and loose and put together with, on the fly, and people just knew their stuff. And I thought there's a way to respond to that. I also picked up on the fact that my favorite things in Siskel and Ebert, which was the movie review show that everybody watched when I was younger. Rest in peace to both Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel. The best parts of that program were the unscripted parts, and they were never, they would have a prompter, they'd define the movie, they'd talk about what they're about to review, and they'd give their top line arguments, all of it reading off prompter, and then they go back and forth, with each other, and that was the real deal. That was when the heat would rise a bit, and they would be themselves. And I recognized that. It was my favorite part of the show. Likely, if you watched it, it was yours as well. And so it was important to me to kind of pull that kind of thinking into Electric Playground and Reviews on the Run. Well, now, we have had scripts that we've used over the years and through the seasons, to pull some of the dialogue and some of the points and things for doing like a throw to a specific feature or something like that. But we were never slaves to the scripts, and we didn't really use prompters. We didn't really ever have a teleprompter in front of the camera. So there was always an improvisational nature, and our reviews were done entirely without scripts. It was always just a conversation between two people. And honestly, back then, I always used to find it incredibly challenging to shoot the pocket reviews by myself, because I was so used to working at first with Tommy and then later with Scott, that I just hadn't really gotten quite that comfortable with spieling and being concise and hitting my points working alone in front of the camera like this. It's really been, I don't know, the last 7 or 8 years where I've had to flex those muscles more and more and more. I can't believe YouTubers are reading off a piece of paper. Oh, I guess a lot of YouTubers, I think they just have game footage and they talk over it, and that gives you a chance to kind of script something, and you can do that quite well for sure. But yeah, I think that there's it's a real art to be able to read the prompter and it doesn't sound like that. Like people like Conan O'Brien and Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Kimmel. Like these are some of the best hosts in the world, and they do it and they do it effortlessly. But I think it's really hard to get to that, and it sounds natural. I think flubs and moments of thought are part of speech, and I think people recognize that. Emilio Lopez. That is a personal question, but we certainly welcome the support that we get off on the channel. And the way that we have been doing it in the last few years has been to partner with different companies and produce things in partnership with them. Like one of the things that we did for a few years pre-COVID was working with Nintendo and building EP segments that would air before movies, ironically enough, on Cineplex screens. We were also doing some behind-the-scenes kind of documentary stuff. So we were doing other. That's why I'm not working with anybody else right now, by the way. We were working with other entities on external productions that were helping to support the cost of producing all of this EP content. That's not possible this year, so we had to make some changes, and that's why it's Vic's Basement on a regular basis. But we've been lucky enough that things have come up all the way along to kind of sustain our business, but not really. It hasn't been the same as it was when we were on television, obviously. That's why all of your support is greatly appreciated. But as I said yesterday, I don't like to bang a drum for that kind of stuff. But it's also why I continue to kind of search for partners and search for different ways to bring our content out there. Very few gaming YouTubers are reading a script. Most of them are just rambling nonsense while they play. Jeff Meacham, I absolutely am. On Monday, I'm going to do another Vic's Basement on Monday, and on Monday I'll break it down on what I'm hoping to be able to get from all of you guys. I'll give you guys a little bit of a. I talked about this already before, but basically what I want to do this year is I want to honor some of the best memories of playing games from 2020. I think that we can all agree that games have been a really nice respite, nice escape from the realities of 2020. And so I think what I want to do with the show is drill down a little less from individual people and saying, this is my favorite in this category, and that this is my, like, that'll be a part of the discussion for sure, but I really want to get a lot of video content in there, just hitting a moment, so like 30 seconds, minute top, about your favorite memory from games. So if you want to contribute a video, and this is open to all of you that are watching right now, the best way to do it, and I've already received one or two through Facebook, you go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Electric Playground. You message me with a link to your video off of YouTube, or you can embed it right into the message, and I'll be able to download it and cut a lot of this content together. But I basically want to hear what your favorite memory or memories were of playing games in 2020. It could be about a specific game or a specific person that you played with, or an awesome night that you had playing games, or a revelation that you had while you played video games. You can shoot it on a phone. Just make sure that we can see you and hear you, and make sure it's 16:9. And so it's open to all of you, and I'll be getting other contributors as well. But the easiest way to direct message me, and you can also kind of hide it so you're not spoiling your little video surprise, is to do it all through Facebook, which I know not everybody's on Facebook, but that is the easiest way to do it. You can also do it on Twitter if you want to hit me on Twitter at Victor_Lucas. But I'm gonna put that into the next Vic's Basement. I'm gonna cut that out and stick it on a bunch of different platforms so people can see it in a bunch of different ways. And then I'm also gonna invite a bunch of friends that I have through the industry to be a part of it as well. But I think the show this year is gonna be a little bit more of a general thank you and a general acknowledgement of how much games in general mean to all of us. Does that sound okay? Sounds like that's the appropriate way for me to think about what this year is going to be. Delta Charlie, you're going to have to wait for the show for that. It can be any game. Absolutely, Peter Kokasar. It can be any game. It can be anything from the gaming industry. Anything that you can think of from 2020. Much Music, pretty much a movie channel now. That's from What's a YouTube. Vancouver did have a speaker's corner, Delta Charlie. It was more connected with, I think City TV had that. It wasn't really a Much Music thing. I don't want to have more than a minute on the video clip. So 30 seconds to a minute. 30 seconds is kind of perfect, but you know you gotta hit your message when you get there. So like if it goes to a minute, that's great. But yeah, I don't want to have to cut out stuff in order to like I'll be able to get more people in if it's in that sweet spot of 30 seconds to a minute long. Is that cool? Tiago Santos says that Call of Duty delayed their DLC because it was coming out on Cyberpunk. Yeah, so I mean, and I basically am waiting to get and play Cyberpunk before I can put all the categories and all that stuff together. And we're gonna do it live. I'll have some packaged material and stuff, but I'll also have edited bits that I'll run while we do it live. And I think there will be a little bit of a voting component as well. So I haven't really plotted that whole thing out yet. I'm still kind of dealing with wrapping up the year and getting into Cyberpunk. But it's going to be December 14th to the 18th, I think, is going to be the week that we're going to do this. Cool. Take it easy, Anoop. All right. So we beat a boss. Got some vulnerary. So is this our castle? What happens now? Oh, there's one more dude, isn't there? Yeah, okay. John O'Brother, that's a big question. Can you save that question for another stream? I'd be happy to talk about that, but that's, you know, essentially I play it till I can talk about it, then we put it together. In terms of, it's a big question. Ask it again another time. How long can the video be, Vic? Jordan Cunningham. I don't want to have anybody. I'm trying to keep all the videos up to like a minute in length. So between 30 seconds and a minute would be perfect. And I know that sounds really short, but that's quite a bit of time. Vic, what game are you most looking forward to in 2021? Well, I guess it's the new God of War. I think that's the biggest one that I know that is coming out next year. That Stray Cat game, though, that looks like a lot of fun. I really dug the reveal on that. I assume also we're getting Breath of the Wild 2 next year, so that hasn't been announced, but that will be the thing I'm most excited about. I didn't, Nintendo Boy 17. That was the only time I ever checked out the Orville. I keep wanting to go back, but I haven't. There's just so many things. End turn. Okay, so what now? Computer. We win, right? Yes. What do we do? Oh, I know what we gotta get the horsey out of the thing. Move, horsey. There you go. Oop. Move, horsey. Okay, wait. And Marth has to take the castle. Is that correct? Yeah. Woohoo! Prince Marth, you have done well to make it here safely. You have my thanks. So you plan to travel to Aurelis? In that case, though, there are but a few in number. My soldiers will join you. From Captain Ogma down. They're all brave warriors and should serve you well. Awesome. Mr. Mass Produce, this is Fire Emblem, Shadow Blade, and Blinding Light, I think. Something like that. I do too. What's a YouTube? Yes, I am. Nintendo Boy 17, great question. I'll also accept people's written kind of responses, and I'll read out some tweets. That always works out really well in our programming, for sure. I'll do that. To be continued. Okay, that's the Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light. Awesome. Thank you, Ethan Joy. Returning to the title screen. Okay, so that was a little taste of 1990 Fire Emblem. Crazy. I'm going to see if there's another indie thing that we can jump into for a little bit here. Let's see what we got. We'll play for another 15 minutes or so. Something I haven't streamed. Let's see. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm okay with that. VR Grid. I appreciate it, actually. Oh, let's check out Spinch. I haven't checked this out yet. Okay, here we go. So this is, I think, made in, I think in Vancouver Island, if I'm correct on this one. Let's give it a shot. I did review Age of Calamity. It's terrific. It's a great game, Drybone Jones. A lot of fun and beautiful. Definitely slow, has some frame rate issues, but it's a big time pickup. A great action adventure take on the Zelda Breath of the Wild universe. What do you think, Grogu? Okay. Very few people, a living, breathing species. Here we go. Oh, I know. Just need to bait you to get the shout out about our merch, about the EP merch. We do have a couple of wicked merch stores. Thank you, VR Grid. You can pick up hoodies like this one that I'm wearing right now, an EPN hoodie, on Designed by Humans, which I think is EPN TV or EPN. And we're also, right from the channel here, you can link up to Teespring, and they've got T-shirts and hoodies and all kinds of stuff here. Yeah, this is made in Victoria, I believe. Let me just, I don't know if the music's probably fine, but I'm going to turn it off. Okay, here we go. Play. New game. Let's jump in. Look at this cuteness. Oh, my goodness. Color! Cousin Spinch. I don't know why it's all pushed. It's all squished on the screen there. It should fill up the whole screen. That's so weird. I don't know what happened. It's supposed to fill up the whole screen. I'm going to hold on. I'm going to pop this onto full screen for a second, and I'm going to plug the HDMI back in for 1 second. Let's see if that makes a difference here. Okay. No, that's so weird. Huh. I just noticed it's all squished. It's not filling the whole 16 by 9 of there. I don't know what happened. Ooh. Let's see. So jump, dash. There we go. Yikes. Oh, I see. I can probably bash the wall. Okay. Jump off of the wall. There we go. Oh, okay. Okay, okay. Ouch! Okay. Oh! I was looking at the stream. Okay. Oh, a little Meat Boy-esque with some... That's cute. Mr. Mass Produce. I think the secret, and you know, obviously I'm very fortunate that I get to play as many weird things as I do. is to just mix it up, man. Just entertain yourself with as much variety as possible, and then you'll appreciate everything. I just watched the Digital Foundry take on NBA 2K21 that John Linneman put together, and he's not a sports game person, and I am, but I don't have time to play them, so I'm not an expert in them, and I don't have any time to watch sports. But he was very upfront that he's not a sports game fan, but he loved playing NBA 2K21 on Next Gen, and was really impressed with what Visual Concepts put together, as am I. And it was a really refreshing take. And I think there's something to that, like finding things that are definitely chill and aren't, frustrating or too taxing. But then also to spice it up, man. Like throw in a JRPG if you've never played one and see if it might be for you. If you don't ever play sports games, I think you might be surprised that there's some really, really I had a total blast on the stream and also reviewing NHL this year. And I think that the loudest opponents of franchises sometimes, and it's definitely applicable to sports games, are the most hardcore fans, because they have their expectation is through the roof. But I don't know. I challenge anybody to look at NBA 2K21 and not be impressed by it. It's beautiful. And I got the Madden and FIFA updates today. That's a rather phallic-looking little dude. Yeah. Happy to see me. Okay. All right. This is a color cornucopia. I only play arcade sports games. Yes, I mean it's hard to. Those are seminal. You're talking about NBA Jam and NFL Blitz and what were the EA games called? What was it? NBA Street, the Street franchises. Amazing. That was weird. This is cool. I don't know why it's cut off the corners, though. That's so weird to me. It squished the game. OBS is strange. I didn't notice that on Fire Emblem because it was... maybe that's what it did. Maybe the internal on OBS just couldn't deal with the 4x3 of Fire Emblem. I don't know. Something happened. This is like some of the Beatles movie or Monty Python type animations. It's cool. Yay! Oh, jump in the box. Okay. Who should it be? 2005. It is a trip. This is called Spinch. I don't know who made the game. You guys can do the Google. But I know they're Canadian. I believe they're based on Vancouver Island. It's trippy, right? I wish it was playing in the full 16:9. I don't know what the hell's going on with the stream there. Let me go full screen, see what it does. Probably the same thing. Let's see. Yeah, it squished it. Why? Why did it do that? That's so weird. I have to check out another game and see if it does it to that too. Let's check out Hades. Let's jump into that. Yeah, it's like it squished my Switch. The output is weird. That's so bizarre. Why are you doing that? And what is doing that? What part of it? Hold on. I have to try one more thing here. Let's see. Unplug this. Plug it back in. Let's see if that does it. This is the Genki stealth dock that I'm using again. Let's see if, nope, it's all squished. What is going on? That's so weird. Here, I'm going to go to full screen for a second. Go down to my settings. Oh. Right, go down to my settings. Is Drybone Jones? Is it just OBS? Did it just get weird? Because it's 16 by 9 on this monitor that I'm looking at, so the output is fine. You know what it is? It might be this. It might be the game card, the AverMedia. Let's see if that makes a difference. You never know. Things just go weird sometimes. It was fine with Fire Emblem because it was an older game. No, it's definitely stretched. That is so bizarre. So it's OBS. That is the culprit. And I don't want to stretch that. Right? No, I don't want to stretch it in real time. That'd be weird. Okay. Okay. Well, I think that's pretty good for our stream today. Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light. That is a long title for a very classic game, but I had fun with that. I'm going to blame it on OBS. How far did I get in Hades? Not far enough. I have to play more of that. Maybe I will stream a little bit more of that and talk some more about that game because I really do dig it. But I had a blast today. I hope you did too. Man, this has been a consequential week. Lots of big things have gone on this week. And lots of fun things are still headed our way. We're going to have at least one more holiday gift guide for you. I've got some more Vic's Basement Lives coming your way. We'll be streaming some Cyberpunk as soon as I can. And we will be collectively doing the Rocket and Ray Gun Awards for 2020. So I'm very excited about all that. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you to all the new folks that have just seen this for the first time. Maybe you joined. Maybe you've been just sort of watching and not wanting to chat. But thank you to the best chat on the internet. You guys are amazing. We will see you soon. Have an awesome weekend. And you know what you got to do. Until we see you, play forever.